Breaking news. 3 American Navy destroyers came under fire in the Strait of Hormuz on Thursday. The United States struck Iranian ports in retaliation. Trump called it a love tap, and in the same breath, he insisted the ceasefire was still in effect, warned Iran it would face far more violent consequences if it does not sign a deal fast, and suggested that peace could be just days away. If that sounds like a contradiction, it is, because what is happening in the waters off Iran right now defies any normal definition of either war or peace. It is something in between, something increasingly difficult to control, and something the American public is paying for at the gas pump every single day. Here is exactly what happened on Thursday, May 7th, and why it matters. 3 United States Navy guided missile destroyers, the USS Truxtun, the USS Rafael Peralta, and the USS Mason, were transiting the Strait of Hormuz heading toward the Gulf of Oman when Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps launched a coordinated attack against them. Iran fired a mix of ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, drones, and small patrol boats at the 3 American warships in what CENTCOM described as a sustained, unprovoked assault. The IRTC Navy publicly claimed credit for the attack. Iran's armed forces stated they were responding to what they called American ceasefire violations, including a claim that the United States targeted an Iranian oil tanker. None of the 3 American destroyers were struck. United States forces shot down the incoming projectiles and destroyed the attacking Iranian boats. Then, in direct retaliation, the United States military carried out strikes on 3 Iranian targets along the Strait of Hormuz. American forces hit the port of Bandar Abbas, Pesh Island and its port facilities, and the Bandar Kargan naval checkpoint in Minab. CENTCOM stated the targets included Iranian missile and drone launch sites, command and control locations, and intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance nodes. Iran's state media reported explosions across Kesh Island and Bandar Abbas. Iran's armed forces spokesman claimed the strikes hit civilian areas and vowed reciprocal action. So to summarize what happened in a single day, Iran attacked 3 American warships. The United States struck 3 Iranian ports. Iran retaliated again, attacking U.S. military vessels east of the strait. And through all of this, both sides insisted the ceasefire was technically still in effect. That is the world we are now living in, a ceasefire where warships are being fired upon and ports are being bombed. It would be almost darkly comedic if it were not so genuinely dangerous. Trump's response to the strikes was characteristically contradictory. In a phone call with ABC News, the president said that Thursday's retaliatory strikes on Iranian soil were just a love tap. He confirmed the ceasefire is going and is in effect. He also said the U.S. would knock Iran a lot harder and a lot more violently if Tehran does not sign a deal soon. Then, standing near the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool, when a reporter asked whether there was still a ceasefire in place, Trump answered with one of the more remarkable sentences to emerge from this conflict. "You won't have to know if there's no ceasefire," he said. "You'll just have to look at one big glow coming out of Iran." And then, in the same conversation, he said a peace deal might not happen, but could happen any day. This sequence of events did not emerge from nowhere. It is the product of a conflict that has been careening between escalation and diplomacy since February 28th, when the United States and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury, killing Iran's supreme leader and targeting military infrastructure across the country. What followed was a war that Trump repeatedly promised would be over quickly. On March 9th, less than 2 weeks into the conflict, he declared the war very complete, pretty much, and falsely claimed the Iranian military had been destroyed and the Strait of Hormuz had reopened. None of that was true. The ceasefire that Pakistan brokered on April 8th gave both sides a pause, but it has never been a genuine peace. Since it was declared, the ceasefire has been violated repeatedly by both parties. Iranian missiles struck the UAE on multiple occasions, including 15 ballistic and cruise missiles aimed at the UAE's Fujairah port, just 2 days before Thursday's naval exchange. U.S. Navy ships have continued to enforce a blockade of Iranian ports, which Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi called an act of war and a violation of the ceasefire. Iran's foreign ministry has described the blockade as a potential prelude to further violations. The U.S. has argued that maintaining the blockade while calling a ceasefire in effect is legally and strategically defensible. Iran says those two positions cannot coexist. Negotiations have proceeded through Pakistani intermediaries in a series of fits and starts. J.D. Vance traveled to Islamabad for talks in April. Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi traveled to Beijing to meet with China's Wang Yi, signaling that Tehran is trying to bring additional diplomatic weight to the table. Trump has now claimed great progress is being made toward a complete and final agreement. He has made that claim, or variations of it, multiple times over the past 2 months. Each time, the deal has not materialized. Iran has said it needs to see the full American proposal before responding. The U.S. has said Iran is dragging its feet. Pakistan, playing mediator for two powers far larger than itself, has expressed hope that a second round of talks in Islamabad can finalize a permanent settlement. The key sticking points are significant and have not narrowed as much as either side publicly suggests. The United States is demanding Iran abandon its nuclear enrichment program entirely. Iran has insisted it has the right to enrich uranium and has publicly rejected any deal that does not acknowledge that right. The U.S. wants the Strait of Hormuz reopened immediately and unconditionally. Iran views its control of the strait as its primary leverage, and it is not going to surrender that leverage before it has something concrete in return. The two positions are not yet close enough for a deal, and Thursday's exchange of fire makes the path to one significantly more complicated. The human and economic cost of this stalemate is continuing to compound. Gas prices in the United States hit a new wartime high this week, averaging $4.56 per gallon nationally. Schools across the UAE remained closed due to ongoing Iranian missile and drone attacks on Gulf states. At least 13 American service members have been killed in action since the war began. 10 sailors from other countries have died because their ships remained trapped in the Strait of Hormuz. Global shipping disruptions that Bloomberg compared this week to the worst days of the COVID-19 pandemic are driving up the cost of food, fertilizer, fuel, and consumer goods across the world. And the International Energy Agency's description of this conflict as the greatest global energy security challenge in history has not changed. What Thursday's events make undeniably clear is that the ceasefire, to whatever extent it has existed at all, is not holding in any meaningful sense. Iran is willing to fire on American warships. The United States is willing to strike Iranian ports. Both sides are calling their own attacks justified self-defense, and the other side's attacks unprovoked violations. Trump is simultaneously claiming victory, warning of massive escalation, and expressing hope for a deal within days. Intelligence reports cited by Reuters found that U.S. strikes have caused limited new damage to Iran's nuclear program, meaning the central stated objective of the war remains largely unachieved after over 2 months of fighting. There is a version of how this ends that involved a negotiated agreement, some face-saving language about Iran's nuclear rights, a reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, and a gradual de-escalation that allows Trump to claim he achieved something and allows Iran to claim it survived. That version is still theoretically possible. It is what Pakistan, China, and most of the international community are working toward, but it requires both sides to stop firing at each other long enough to actually sign something. And on the morning after 3 American destroyers were attacked by missiles and drones in the Strait of Hormuz, that moment feels further away than the president's rhetoric suggests. The American people deserve an honest accounting of what is happening here. The president is calling military strikes on Iranian ports a love tap, while maintaining a ceasefire is in effect. He is threatening a civilization-ending response if Iran does not comply, while expressing optimism that peace is around the corner. The gas prices telling a different story at every pump in America are not a side effect of a war that is nearly over. They are the economic signature of a conflict with no clear endgame, no defined mission that all parties agree on, and no evidence that the next round of negotiations will succeed where every previous round has failed. That is the real story of Thursday, May 7th, 2026, and it is one that will matter long after the phrase "love tap" has faded from memory.